Diaries of a Pastor's Wife with Lady Jim.
Welcome to Diaries of a Pastor's Wife. I am Lady Jim, and I am excited to be back here to talk to you guys about a journey that I am currently on. You know, you think at times that you have overcome something, and then God makes sure that you are tested. And I have been failing this test several times. So wanted to get on here and figure that we could this might be like a couple parts like of a series till we get to be able to explore I think just different aspects. So what I want to talk about is forgiveness. And um, you know, it's something I thank God for my husband. You know, the wisdom that he has, it's amazing. Like every Wednesday we have, instead of it just like being Bible study, it's actually like question and answer. So my pastor, Pastor Solaire Arman Jr., my husband, is he has so much wisdom that God has given him, and like people just come up, they ask a question. It's not something that he knows ahead of time, and he's able to like answer the questions. And I'm like, how in the world? Like, I'll probably be up there bumbling like for a half hour. We need to come revisit this because I need to do 5 hours of research. But thank God for my husband. But forgiveness. So I have had several tests and I have failed them. And when I continually fail a test that God has presented me with, I have to look inside of me to figure out what is going on. Why are you continually having the same results that are not good results? Sometimes they're very explosive results. I do have a temper, and that is something that I have been trying to work on. I want to be a calm person that's not just easily angered. Um, and yeah, your girl has not been passing that test. So I presented the question like in our question and answer, and my husband has given like he was able to give so much for me to unpack and things that I need to dig deeper in, and figuring out why, like when presented or when I'm backed up against a wall and like maybe feel like people are just coming for me, and most of the times they're really not, but why am I having the same reaction that I'm just exploding? And that anger is something that I really am trying to deal with. So in doing some research and reading scriptures and being able to talk like to especially my youngest child, who she's wise like her father, um, and she is patient with me to be able to see that there is something underlying. It's not just like, oh, you know, I stubbed my toe and then I'm just out, you know, trying to cut everybody, stab everybody, and shoot everybody up. That's not what the reaction is all the time. Sometimes, yes, but I'm not that bad. But I realized that it's something more. It's something that is deep rooted. And if we don't get to the root and to dig it up to find out what is going on, then I'm going to have and continue to fail that test and have the same reactions. So, just wanted to share some things with you. So, you know, I don't ever want you to think I'm sitting on a pedestal and I'm so perfect and I can just talk at you. I'm talking with you. This is something that a journey that I am determined to get to the end and pass the test and realize what is going on the inside of me. So, forgiveness. Forgiveness is a choice. It is not just an emotion. Forgiveness is not always easy or like natural. And Jesus did teach us that it is a choice, and we have to make sure that we are making the correct choices. Um, it is an act of obedience to God and a demonstration of love for others. And I was like, is what? You know? And I was sitting there and I'm like, wow. Because I felt like for so long, like, yeah, I can forgive, and yes, I've forgiven, but when I can sit and I have triggers, then it's not, I have not forgiven. And I think that I have to make sure that, I know that's probably gonna sound crazy what's getting ready to come out of my mouth, but I have to be triggered so that I can see where I am, and see my progress. And it's like I know God is dealing with me, and for me to help someone else, I cannot continue to say, like, hey, I just want to keep myself in this little box where I don't have any triggers and where I don't have those tests and those trials. So forgiveness is essential for our spiritual well-being. Forgiveness is crucial for maintaining a healthy relationship with God. If we hold on to unforgiveness, it can hinder our own spiritual growth. And it's something that I read, and I believe Mark Twain said, anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. And I said, wait a minute, what? So I was like, I gotta keep reading this over and over so that I can really understand what is being said. And I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. And I sat back and I'm like, wow. Um, that really hit home. Most often, anger is like a secondary emotion. It can take shape instantly and unconsciously, in response to something or someone that evokes like those feelings. So we talk about those triggers. Um, so it evokes the feelings of hurt, fear, or inadequacy. If I can talk today, that would be wonderful. Um, when most people experience these primary emotions, they feel vulnerable. And, it's like almost when somebody catches you, or like you have those moments like, okay, I'm trying to hurry up and get dressed or changed, and somebody pops in and like you just start naked and you're vulnerable. So when you think about when your heart and your emotions and who you are, you open up and you're vulnerable. That is a very uneasy feeling. Um, and it's like, why is being vulnerable such an uneasy emotion? And that's something that we need to really look into. But we're going to talk about that probably maybe the second episode that we still talk about forgiveness. Um, but when you have those unconscious like feelings or reactions to people, and they evoke the feelings of hurt, fear, or here I go, inadequacy. When most people experience those primary emotions, and their energy and attention are focused inward. For many people, this is revealing um, that vulnerableness, and it creates a lot of distress. Distress. If y'all hear that ending, I don't know what that is, but distress. That the underlying emotions are automatically transformed into anger. So you have these feelings and you don't know how to properly um, separate them. And so the instant reaction is anger. And that's something that I know that I have found myself like, how is this person coming at me? Because I don't understand the intent of what they are trying to evoke from me. And it could just be that they just want my attention. They want love. They want admiration. They want respect. But I may not take it that way because I feel like maybe that person is asking something of me that is not natural for me. And it's probably not natural for me because I built up so many walls to protect myself, because I have allowed myself to be vulnerable, and somebody has taken that and they ran with it and they have turned it against me. Um, and it's something that is that's a deep a deep feeling of hurt and disrespect. And anytime you are hurt, you say, okay, I'm not going to experience this ever again in life. So you build up these walls, and you enclose yourself within that wall, so nobody gets to know the real you or who you really are. So instead of having those reactions of love and um, acceptance of others, your reactions are of, I'm going to protect myself. And when you have anger, that is a method of protecting yourself. Um, so that's where I think I often find myself, because I have been hurt by people, people who I felt that I've allowed in to the inner sanctum of my feelings, and emotions and who I really am as a person. And I've built up these walls because so many people have hurt me using my vulnerability against me. And yeah, yeah, that, I mean, that's what I'm starting to see has happened to me. And I feel like my heart has hardened over time. So anger serves several defensive purposes. It works as a shield that deflects uncomfortable primary emotions so they can be avoided or kept at a distance. It provides a sense of power and control. Now, realize I say a sense. It's not really power and control. It's just a sense of feeling that you have power and control. It directs focus outward to identifiable external scapegoats like individuals, groups, or institutions. Um, so then you deflect everything away from you, that inward person and who you really are, and you're just throwing it out there to make sure that people are not looking at you. They're looking at another individual, rather than, hey, this person has really got some issues they need to work on. And then if you look at that, anger and then resentment, and resentment closely is related to anger, but resentment is like negative feelings, basically ill will towards someone or something that emanates from the past. Resentment is the re experiencing of past injustices, real or perceived. And the old feelings of anger connected to them, then that rises up. And it's like the resentment and the anger, they just hold hands and they're skipping through the tulips together. Um, and it's like so much negativity has formed. And it's almost like it runs like out of control because you're trying to protect yourself, um, like at all costs. So, I was looking at that and I'm researching because I want to become a better person. I want to be better for myself, for my husband, for my kids, my grandkids, and friends that I have. I don't want to continue to be the same. And I had to look at that. So some people hold resentment for many years, refusing to let go of it. Over time, whatever caused the original anger and led to the resentment is 90% of the time forgotten. So you forget what was the initial cause, and now it just runs and it's like a big ball that is forming. And so think of the snow going down the hill. Starts out with a nice little snowball, but you continue and it builds and it builds and it builds into this big, huge snowball of resentment, hurt, anger, and unforgiveness. And it's like, what do you do now? You can either allow it to keep forming and becoming huge, or you can start chipping away at it and working on the areas that you have not dealt with properly. So over time, whatever caused that original anger and led to resentment may be forgotten. While the resentment remains like a still smoldering amber. So you think of like, oh, I'm trying to put a fire out. But you look and you say, hey, wait a minute, I still see some red and orange little embers that can continue to start the fire. Um, and if you don't put it out altogether, that fire no longer rages, but the ember remains hot and the fire is at risk of reigniting until it is totally extinguished. So I now know that I can go from 0 to 5,000 within 2 seconds flat because that ember is still lit. And boy, oh boy, let me tell you, it can take off. It can start, woo! I can start up many a charcoal fire without needing any lighter fluid because I have that ember that is not put out but is ready to ignite at any moment. So, am I dealing with things properly if I don't learn how to extinguish that ember so that it is not just ready to go at a moment's notice? Um, I don't need that to fight my battles. Um, and I think that is something that when you're working on yourself, you feel like, oh, I'm nice and calm, but it takes you 2 seconds to revert back to who you were a year ago. And I don't want to continue to be that person. So, to begin releasing anger and resentment, you need to start by acknowledging these feelings and identifying their root cause. And you need to practice techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, praying, and having that relationship with God. And asking God to help you to properly deal with these things. And you can't run from it. You can't run from those triggers. You need to deal with them. And you need to figure out a way to release that pent up energy and frustration. So maybe you might want to start working out or taking nice long walks, or getting out in the water, or if that's something that relaxes you, or going up to the mountains, somewhere where you can just deal with you. Um, so after you can try to learn to deal with that pent up energy and frustration, consider practicing forgiveness, either towards yourself or others. I would say you need to probably start learning to forgive yourself first, because if you can't forgive you, how can you properly forgive somebody else? Um, I don't think that it would work properly. Um, so I think you really should, we need to start with forgiving ourselves. So acknowledge and identify. Recognize your feelings. When you feel anger or resentment rising, pause and acknowledge those emotions without judgment. So, without you judging yourself or putting yourself down, um, you need to take a moment, breathe, and process. And for me, that's going to be very important because I can let this mouth fly, and I mean the stuff that comes out of it. And it's like, I don't need to curse at you. But I can make you feel like you have died and came back again. And then I'm going to kill you over again. Um, and it's not me killing you with kindness. So that is something that I really need to work on, because I don't want to be triggered. Um, because the damage that I can cause is not something that is easily walked back. And it can be damage that is done permanently, because maybe that person really can't forgive me. Um, and then that just starts rolling within itself. So, learning to forgive yourself, take a moment and breathe and pray, process what is being said rather than just react. So I think that's a major thing that I am going to start doing. I'm going to zip my lips, and then I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to process. And it may be that I say, you know what, can we pick up this conversation in an hour or two, or maybe tomorrow? Um, the important thing is that you don't go to bed angry, because if you don't wake up the next day, then how can you even practice any point of forgiveness? So I think that is going to be important. So one, we're going to acknowledge and identify. Two, let's process our emotions. Calm your mind, practice your deep breathing exercises, mindfulness, meditation. Um, I don't know, maybe there's like you are able to go through steps and processes of relaxing your muscles and relaxing your body. Because when you become angry, you are tense, and it's like you're ready to strike. Think of like a cobra, like they are like sitting up straight, they spread out, and they're like, I am ready to attack. So those muscles are tense. And that's how we are. When you are angry, you are tense, and we have to learn to relax ourselves. For those of you who like to journal, start writing down your thoughts and feelings when you're triggered. And that can be a healthy way to process them and gain some clarity. Express yourself creatively, engage in activities. If you like to draw, if you like to write, if you like to paint, I don't know if maybe you like to do some crafts. I love to do some crafts. And I'm able to relax in doing those things. And what's wrong with seeking support? So, like counselor, talk to a counselor. They can give you different aspects and different ways to look at things, and they're not engaged with you 24/7. So they don't have any preconceived notion of like, oh, here she comes again. Oh, this person, she has all these things that they can name off that's wrong with you. No, that's not it's like a safe space for you to express yourself, express who you are, break down those walls, learn how to become vulnerable again. um, and they're not judging you. They're not like, hell yeah, here she comes again, we're gonna have the same discussion that we had 5 years ago, and she's gonna react the same. So there's nothing wrong with that. Forgiveness is a process. Don't expect to instantly let go of anger and resentment. It takes time and effort. And learn to be kind to yourself. It's okay to feel angry or resentful, but you want to practice self compassion as you work through these emotions. Um, if your anger or resentment is significantly impacting your life, there's nothing wrong with seeking professional help. Okay, so this is just the first part that I wanted to talk about. I know I rolled out like a lot of stuff, but there's so much more to unpack. And I wanted to be honest. I wanted to be vulnerable coming here today. Um, and I would like for you guys to look at yourselves. And of course, I'm not saying, oh, tomorrow I'm waking up and you're kicking down all these walls and you're breaking down. It's a journey. Um, I had a nonprofit, and it was called Journey to a Masterpiece. And for me, I feel like I have been on that journey, but every day, in every moment, I am unraveling more things about myself. And I'm not saying everything is ugly. There are a lot of beautiful things, but I I think I practice self annihilation a lot. Um, and I need to stop. So I am working on this masterpiece of who I am, when God created me to be. And I'm going to learn to stop putting myself down or looking in the mirror. I'm like, oh, wow, you're so fat. Oh, look at you. You're getting so old. Oh, look at this mark. That's so ugly. Um, and I have to look at that. I am something that God created. I am his masterpiece. And he has numerous masterpieces. And for me to continually self-annihilate, then I'm telling God what you have created is not good enough. I'm sorry. Yeah. um, and it's like, who am I to sit up and tell the creator of everything that what you created not worthy, is not worthy of love, um, is not worthy of acceptance. So forgive me for being emotional, but there are a number of things that I need to work on, and I'm beginning to work on those things. And I thank God that I can have tears, because for so long I have told myself that I can't cry, I can't show emotion. That's a sign of weakness. And that's a lie. I've been lying to myself. So I'm asking you guys to pray for me. I will pray for you. Um, and these are not tears of sadness. They're tears of joy, because I'm realizing that God created me and He loves me, and I need to learn to love myself. And in turn, with me learning to love myself, then I can really love others. So, hey, I pray that you guys will join me. Um, I'm definitely going to have another uh, video, and I think that this is a journey that needs to take place for myself, and I think others can learn and grow from it. So, praying for you guys as that you continue to pray for me, and have a blessed week and work on yourself. Thank you for joining, and I'm praying for you guys. All right, love, peace, and happiness.